water today because, yeah, this is about some eating stuff. Why? Because I was invited to a podcast, and the podcast will be recorded this morning. So I thought the podcast is going to be in German, and therefore I thought, why not make a video about this topic in English too, so that my English speaking viewers can also, yeah, get my thoughts on it or something. I don't know. Let's see. Also, I'm just waiting for my coffee machine over there, like this big old fellow. I'm just waiting for this one to warm up so I can make coffee, and yeah, basically that's what I'm doing right now because I have to be here for this podcast recording later, and so I thought I would, yeah, just share my ideas about the topic of intuitive eating at this point because I think it's an interesting topic, but also kind of opposed to what I live by. I'm definitely not an intuitive eater. I'm more like a scientific eater, I would say. I just like to look up stuff. And I personally don't think that it's possible to eat intuitively in a modern society. I think in order to truly eat intuitively, as in follow your intuition when eating and not be influenced by any other bias, you shall have no information about food whatsoever. If you do, that's already a bias. If you know that, for instance, I have these options for breakfast. This is an apple, and these are 2 pieces of brownies. Like, should I go for the apple or the brownies? Now, I'm not a big fan of the fat acceptance movement. I think it's really weird, like coming from a standpoint of somebody who's worked in a hospital for, I don't know, 5 some years. Yeah, you don't want to do that to your body if it's like an option. Like, if you're not force fed, you should really try. Like, I've tried, improved myself. I think it's better to be at some healthy weight. And that is a big range, in my opinion, not as narrow as some people make it out to be. But yeah, I think, if people are getting so religious, about this topic, and I think it's weird. Like, why can't we have like a cool talk about it? Anyway, what was my point? Apple or brownies? And so there are only like 2 kinds of let's say, identity politics categories here, I believe. Like the one, they say, oh, you should go for the brownie, if you want the brownie, eat the brownie, and there's nothing wrong with the brownie, all foods are foods, and stuff like that. And then there are the other ones, and they say, like, obviously the apple is the better choice. And I'm like, I'm gonna eat an apple later anyway, so let me have my brownie. Um, and I'm gonna have that brownie. Like, just not now, I want to make my coffee first. But that's kind of the thing. I believe that these extremes are just both stupid. Like the extreme orthorexic kind health gurus making foods to be something bad. Hi to Italy. Making foods out to be something evil. One range of the food list, and the other part is like totally awesome and wonderful. You know how many pesticides are in this thing? Like probably more than on this brownie. So I don't know, one more. So I would say, it's relative. Do I think that the apple is the healthier choice? Kind of, yeah. If you want to go for maximum, value per caloric intake, I would say totally the apple, because it has fiber. Fiber is super important, and it's an apple, man. You don't need to be a nutritionist to know that an apple has more nutritional value when it comes to micronutrients, macronutrients, and stuff like fiber, what I said. To know that this is important. You don't have to study anything to that. That's common sense and common knowledge. So just to tell the gatekeepers a big nice fuck off right from the start, you go and please fuck off. Anyway, so about brownies and breakfast, and I didn't have breakfast for a long time actually in my life. The whole time that I worked in the hospital, I just didn't have really time for breakfast. Breakfast was always something that I would have at work. And so I would go for like 3 or 4 hours without any breakfast. So I was like intermittent fasting back then without it being fancy yet. Like people were not into that kind of stuff back then. And I don't know, like for me that worked for such a long time. But even that, I think with food, whatever you do, you're doing it wrong. Like somebody's always telling you that you can do better and you can be your better self or whatever. And I think the message has kind of changed. Like back in the day, like 10, 20 years ago, it was like you can be better, aka you can lose weight and be fitter and build some muscle and strength or whatever. And now it's you can be better, aka not give a shit anymore. That's the new better. Like for me, this is still not the new better. Like I don't really like that attitude, but I understand where it's coming from. You know, with I don't know 50 years of diet culture, I understand that people are fed up with it, and I think that there's a valuable reason to be fed up with this kind of culture. So what was I getting into? Anyway, if you're having questions at any point and you want to ask something about the podcast, or it's not my podcast, it's another person's podcast, and so if you want to know anything, just comment below, chat with me, then I will answer your questions because that is very cool. Thank you. Also, thanks to the 2 people who gave me a like. That's very nice of you. And by the way, I'm also still editing my video, the one about the Fear Reverend Classic first part, because I want to have the first part and the second part out closely because they are so related, and you will see it'll all make sense. But the problem is that the music tracks are usually super loud, and I have to edit down the music tracks to numbers that are like 0.05 of the volume scale, which is usually 1 is 100%. And so this kind of editing is so annoying because I always have to put that to such a small number. And the perks of Blender, which I use for editing, it's just so annoying to edit small numbers. It's much easier because you can just click left and right on a little controller to increase by steps of 0.1. But if you have smaller numbers like that, it gets really, really annoying, and that's why it's taken so long. So if anyone is wondering why it's taken so long, it's because this editing process is dead slow. Anyway, back to the apple and the brownie, and now I'm really thinking maybe I should have an apple. Anyway, so why am I not an intuitive eater? And why don't I really like the concept? So the reason is that I've actually tried intuitive eating because I was not super well like eating wise when I was younger. So and when I got to study at university, I wanted to kind of make a change and be healthier or something, and I just wanted to kind of heal myself or something. I don't know, not in like a spiritual way, but more like, yeah, I've eaten like shit for the last decade or 1.5 decades. I just want to eat better, and that was my kind of idea because I had a very low set point. By the way, I'm more a fan of the word set interval because it's an interval. You cannot measure that precisely. By the way, I can measure it, and I have, and it's really low for me. So that is your the intake that you need for maintenance, as in just to keep your body composition and weight, not to lose any muscle or something like that. And that is the number of calories or kilocalories, kilojoule that you need. So, and that for me was very, very low after all my shitty eating, from just not eating to binging and all this other useless behavior that I had like in my teens and 20s. So yeah, I kind of decided at some point that I wanted to increase this set level interval to like a higher maintenance level. And I would think that you could call it like a bulk or something, but I really just stopped caring, and I said to myself, okay, I'm gonna try and eat just intuitively and honor my cravings and just go for whatever I want until I'm kind of fed up with it, you know? Because that's an important narrative in intuitive eating, which wasn't the thing back then, but today it is, and the narrative is kind of like, you know, if you allow yourself, if you don't restrict your eating and you allow yourself to have that cookie that you really crave, if you allow yourself that, it'll not be that big of a deal anymore. It'll not be that big of a problem and stuff like that. And for me, guys, it was just, I don't know, 1, 2 years of overweight for me. Like, that was the consequence. I never got fed up with brownies. I never got fed up with, I don't know, what do you call these chips that you eat in America? Doritos, that kind of thing. Yeah, we call them nacho chips, that kind of stuff. I could eat those nachos all the time, cheese nachos. And I would also buy the cheese nachos, cheese sauce or something. The dip, it was ugly, you know, that kind of stuff. Like today, if I see it, I frown. I think like, what? I did eat that crap. I put that crap in my temple. What? Ew. So yeah, I do look down on certain foods because certain foods are just full of maltose something, not good stuff, not stuff that your body actually needs. And do I think that you only should put stuff in your body that your body needs, and like leave out all the crap? No, because the crap is delicious. So yeah, and you also, you also feed your mind, and I think that's perfectly valuable. You know, we live in a time where we have access to this, so why not eat it? And also, I know this is like that is not a handmade brownie, you guys. That is just a cheap ass brownie that I got at the supermarket. So yeah, not that, not even that great. I should make brownies myself. Anyway, I think I have to make a coffee now. Like, and that's gonna be loud. So I'm just gonna put you guys over here so I can make my coffee. And I'm just gonna make my coffee real quick over there, okay? I think the camera's dirty. Oh yeah, so much better. Okay. Oh yeah, that one's going to be a ristretto. We go. Okay. Good. So now we're all alone. It's just me. So I'm recording for later, which is actually not bad. If you're thinking about making your own YouTube channel and you're being like, oh, I'm recording for nobody, nobody's listening, I'm just sitting here all alone and it's awkward. Yeah, it is, but that goes away and it gets replaced by nice comments of interesting people and some weirdos too, but trust me, it's worth it. Yep, water, ristretto, brownie. I don't think I'm gonna eat the brownie in the live stream because that just makes brownie teeth. Anyway, so where was I? about the intuitive eating and how it didn't work for me. So yeah, I mean, I think I started at a weight of something slightly below 40 kilograms. You really don't know what that is in lbs, pounds, I don't really know. So but below, probably below 100. And so I'm a very small person, and my just athlete weight would be around 45 to 47 kilograms, because I'm not a big person. So that would be my athlete's weight. And my sick ass, hungry bitch underweight weight, that would be 40 something, below 40. I also had pneumonia at the time and got way below 40 and was really sick. But since I was kind of into that kind of shit, I actually liked it. I was like, oh yeah, no fat whatsoever anymore. And at some point, I really noticed that I was feeling super bad. And I was at such a low point with my metabolism that I really felt like I need to do something about my crashed metabolism. Because if you are unable to eat like a brownie without gaining, your body is obviously needing those, you know, is needing that energy, so and nutrients. So yeah, at some point I decided to go all in and do intuitive eating, and I thought, well, you know, it's better to do that now than later, because the longer I starve myself, the more my body will be in survival mode, and I will never be able to eat normally again. And I wanted that. I wanted to be able to eat more because I always liked food, you know? No matter how much I didn't eat or did eat, I always liked food, and I'm a big gourmet, I would say, yeah. I like cheese, I like cake, I like wine. So I really like well made, handmade, nice foods. Okay, always have. And um, so when I started this, I was kind of, yeah, just allowing myself to eat whatever. And I think this is yeah, in sync with a lot of the messages of intuitive eating. Like, I mean, it depends, you know, who you ask, but sometimes they are like, oh yeah, eat just whatever, it will figure itself out. But at some point, they're also going to be defensive and then say stuff like, "Oh no, that doesn't mean to just eat crap. You know, just make it make sense or something." Like, and they kind of uh, go back a little from their initial message and then say something else, and it's totally confusing. So I personally will go with the definition of intuitive eating, as in to eat what your intuition, as in not your brain, tells you. As in, if you're not overthinking it and you want that, well, this or that food in that moment, if you want that, that's your intuition. Okay, that's my definition of that. If there are probably 100,000 people with all their own other definitions, but I think all of this is kind of stupid gatekeeping and just being a little know-it-all and mocking people for, you know, living their own truth and stuff, and just having their own experience, and then going backwards and saying like, well, but you did it wrong, that's why you failed, just to make themselves look more right. And that kind of shit, yeah, I'm too old for that shit, fuck off. So and the point is, so that I tried to honor those cravings a lot, and the result is that I went to the other extreme. I became so fat that my tiny little tits went up from, I don't know, an A cup to a C. And I've always had A in my life, and maybe later I had B or something, and more than C even. And when I was at that point that I had like more than a C cup, I felt like, well, something's wrong, because I'm not a C plus cup kind of person, and I don't want this on my thorax. So, because, you know, if you're a runner, and I was a runner before, tits are in the way. They're just in the way. You have to, restrain them in a sports bra so they are not annoying anymore, because otherwise they're just blatantly annoying. And I didn't want more annoyance. So anyway, I will read the comment in 1 second. So just at that point, I just ate whatever I wanted. And my nemesis was just something sweet and then something salty. Like I would eat those nachos, as I said, and then I would eat chocolate bar and another chocolate bar and another couple of nachos, and then I would order some pizza or something, like whatever was cheap, because all those trashy foods, they're cheap. Like the vegetables and the good stuff and the vegan stuff, that's all expensive. Like the junk food, that's the shit that's affordable for some reason. Like so that everyone who doesn't have the money to afford good food can just, I don't know, get super fat. I don't know why this is the case. I think all this food is just pumped up with fillers, um, and I don't think that any of them are healthy. Like nachos, no, they're not healthy. Are you supposed to eat them every day? No, hell no. But I did, and what I've heard a lot of intuitive eating coaches tell me is that this need for eating nachos and drinking your calories, like I was also drinking a lot of Coke at that time and a lot of energy drinks because I needed to study and I needed to be awake, and I was like awake for, I think I slept less than 6 hours, so hey ghrelin. um, so I kind of had a lot of hunger all the time because I was sleeping so little, and I was also just eating junk. And my cravings for this junk never stopped. They never stopped, and it never became that way. That kind of if you don't restrict, then it's all gonna be fine eventually. Like when I did this for 2 years. When would I have stopped? Should I have eaten this way for another 3 years and just put on another 20 pounds? Like at that point, I was 40 pounds overweight, and I was having issues with my blood pressure. I had high blood pressure, 160 over 110, and sometimes even more. And I was in my 20s. So no, I don't think that is enough reason already to say the weight has to go. It has to, it's not an option. And at some point I knew this because I had so bad migraines. I just had, thank you, thank you. I had so bad migraines, and I was just wondering where they came from. And then I measured kind of my blood pressure, and I saw that the blood pressure and the migraines correlated. So my blood pressure coming from my overweight, from my obesity, were giving me migraines. And the migraines were so bad that sometimes I could not go and study, so it was sabotaging my life. And I couldn't study at some point, I couldn't get out of bed sometimes, and it would lead to my sleep rhythm to be fucked up even more, because I would just work late, because migraines would be not as bad when it was dark. Just like that, it was so stupid and messed up. So yeah, that is where my way of intuitive eating, as in not caring and honoring my cravings, got me. Because in that whole time I would never eat anything green, any vegetables. I remember that my taste buds changed so much. I'm gonna get into this because I was a vegan before, and my vegan taste buds also changed, and that's really interesting. But I was eating this crap for so long that I actually didn't like the taste of fresh fruit anymore. I didn't like it. I was like, ooh, an apple. Ooh, that's disgusting. Like, I don't want a disgusting, ugly apple. I want chocolate. So, yeah, that was messed up. But I'm gonna get into that in a second. I want to read the comments. How can I do this? Oh yeah, here, I can scroll here. No, I don't want to. How do I do this? Yeah, now it works. Okay. Okay, you're talking about something that helped you studying when you weren't motivated. You always drank the same stuff, and then you were in your ritualistic mode of working. And your question is like you were wondering whether you would, whether emotions can be associated with certain taste, and you can save that. Yes, you can. That's called the limbic system. It is one of the most ancient parts of your brain. And the limbic system, that is what kicks in when you come into a room and it smells like home. You know, that feeling, that's your limbic system. One of your, few of your oldest memories will be stored in there in that form. And yeah, that's absolutely possible biologically. I mean, maybe some neuroscientist is here and can explain that better than I can. But you can associate places and smells and all sorts of stuff with emotions. And you can have an emotional motivating song that gets you into the mood of like working out or studying. You can also have an emotional food that can get you into the mode of working. For me, it was bubblegum, I think. So let's see if there are more comments that I missed. What the fuck? It works with my thumb, but I think it doesn't work with other fingers. What the fuck? Like, what is different about my thumb other than it's thicker? Um, you thought this was a stupid thought, but you were thinking it was kind of fascinating though, and yeah. So that when you drank this, you had no problem studying anymore. You were then motivated. No, I totally get it. I don't think that's stupid at all. And I think that if you discover something like that in your life, just use it as long as it's like a good stuff. I would drink something called Club Mate, and I would also drink these really cheap energy drinks from Lidl. So yeah, that was my stuff that I would drink for studying. But later I discovered the ones without sugar, and they were not good. Yeah, you were hoping for saying like I would switch. No, I would not switch. They tasted shitty. But today I switched. Like I've been using xylitol and other sugar replacements for I would say 2 years or something, you know. And I don't need those extra calories. I don't like them. I don't want them in my life. Anyway, you guys want to know how I got out of this eating mess that I got myself in from basically anorexic to uh, super binger, borderline fatty? Like, you want to know how I got out of this mess? Actually, I just wanted to say that I don't think intuitive eating is for everyone, you know? Because I think it's a great concept, but it's influenced a lot by this whole disordered eating, yeah, narrative. As in, you know, if you have a trouble eating, just start with honoring your cravings. I don't know. I mean, I'm not so emotional about this. I'm not an emotional eater. I'm more like a bored eater. But, you know, no. This would probably never have worked for me. It would probably never have worked its way to my brain. I would just have gotten fatter. So anyway, I was at the point where I had to change something. There was no other option anymore. I had to change something just to improve my health because I was feeling so bad at the point with the daily migraines. And if you don't know what a migraine is, it's not a headache. It's basically this debilitating pain that is in one side of your head and just starting to pulse all over your head. And for me, it would usually start either in the back or in the front of my head and then go over the half of my face, putting my eye in pain, like the eye on one side. And sometimes it would also go over, but usually it would just have it on one side and my eye would be the center of the pain. So that just moving my eye would be painful. And yeah, so that kind of makes sense why I couldn't read and study at that point. So anyway, you have school now. Tell me the name of the taste thing again, maybe in German. Limbic system, limbisches System. So yeah, hope you can find something about that and have a nice school day. This is going to be online later, so I will probably put it in as like a just a link, and not like a what is it called, public video. Maybe I will think about that, because the public videos of that length, they usually don't do that well. So I'm hesitant of publishing live streams, but the live streams are all in a playlist called Coffee Talks, because I'm always having coffee in my live streams, so they call it Coffee Talks. And yeah, anyway, let's talk about the weight loss journey, because everyone, after that, when I lost the weight and got really fit and got into running again, people were like, how did you do it? Because back then, losing weight wasn't a bad thing. Like, people were actually supportive of that, whereas today, when you show your before and after on social media, people go crazy and like, oh, that's so toxic and triggering, why didn't you put a trigger warning in front of that? Like, I don't do trigger warnings, fuck you. I think trigger warnings are stupid, because if you don't want to be triggered, just don't leave your house. Otherwise, get therapy first so you don't get triggered anymore, because life is triggering. That's just like, how did people deal with shit before the internet? You know? Like, you know what we did when we got triggered? We called our therapists. Just Gen Z. I'm never gonna warm up with Gen Z. If you're Gen Z and you turn out normal, congrats. So anyway, I'm a millennial. We're all crazy. We're all like messed up, and we've lived through some serious, not something, like my English is not good enough to describe the way that I want to describe the period of time that millennials lived through, but I don't know. Seeing the Berlin Wall come down was really cool though. Like, I remember that day. That was a cool day. Anyway, so where was I talking about? Oh, weight loss, yeah. So everyone was like, how did you do it? And I was like, well, I just smoked a lot of cigarettes and I was commuting. So on my commuting days, I was so stressed out by driving that I couldn't eat. That way I had basically 2 fasting days. And on my fasting days, I would just step out of my car and be like, woohoo, I survived. I didn't kill anyone. I didn't kill myself. I had survived the German highway. And if you ever been on a German highway, you're gonna know, like, they're crazy. And I was like, okay, cool, the 4.5 hour, 5 hour drive, I made it. Let's have some schnapps or a beer or something. And that was basically, after that was all I had that day, and a bunch of cigarettes. And then I basically just went shopping for groceries, mostly olives and some like really yummy olive mix and decadent deli stuff, and I would buy that and have it with my boyfriend at the time. I was commuting from my city to Cologne, which was like a very long commute, and I love Cologne. If you're from Cologne, you're so lucky. And yeah, that was my life basically. Just I had this relationship, and I kind of just didn't eat so much anymore because I was occupied all the time with stuff. And my life was improving rapidly. I had more success in school. I was happier, like in university. I was happier with my life in general. I ditched my abusive ex, and yeah, I kind of just had good things going for me at this point. So that is why I lost the weight, essentially. Not because my health was so bad and I knew I had to do something. Maybe I lost like 5 pounds, and my migraines got tiny little bit better, but they really only just got better when my life got better and I changed my habits. And I think this is really hard because I believe in weight loss, it is the same as with addiction. You kind of need a rock bottom. Like, you need a rock bottom or you need somebody to lift you up. If you have both, that's great. I wish it on everybody to not hit rock bottom. Like, I don't want that for you guys. If you're watching this and think like, oh, I don't know, I'm not there yet. I can't bring myself to have the motivation because I'm just not, I'm just too well off still, you know? Um, I know that feeling, but trust me, in time you're not gonna be. I also stopped smoking, by the way, so I'm not a smoker anymore. But I really liked smoking when I did it, and I would always smoke instead of eat, just basically, like just unhealthy living, and then that way I lost the weight. So, but I would also start eating veggies again. And actually, I had this contrast in my life of eating really healthy, but smoking and drinking a lot. So, yeah, it was just really absurd. But for me, it worked. And I mean, I was in my late 20s at this point, um, and I was just happy that I wasn't super fat anymore. I mean, I wasn't extremely obese or something, but I was 40 pounds above my weight that I needed to feel good. And I got back to that weight. And I didn't drop into the underweight section because I think a lot of people who had struggled with an eating disorder before, they are kind of like either afraid or secretly hoping to get there again. You know, they're either afraid, oh, I'm gonna be triggered, I'm gonna want to go lower and lower and lower, or they are more like, mm, maybe I'm gonna go lower. Let's see when I get there. And I think that fixation on weight is also kind of stupid because today I'm working out more and doing sports, and I'm way more not fixated, but I concentrate more on my body composition because that is also something important when you get older, when you're like in your 30s and you start seeing that you're losing muscle just basically because you get older, you know, just basically because of that, you're losing muscle, and you're losing it on a daily basis because you're not just producing enough hormones anymore to build muscle fast like a young chick would, you know. So when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I could look at a weight the wrong way and my arms would blow up. Like my arms would be bigger than my neck. Are my arms bigger than my neck now? Yeah, I'm not sure, but I would have like huge biceps. So from all the hospital work, pushing around the beds and stuff like that, I would just have huge arms, and I was always like, oh, I want to have small arms like those office girls, the tiny office girls. Like, oh, how can I make my arm go from this to this? How can I do this? And now today, I'm more like, well, fuck that. I don't want to lift people up and be like the strong one. Like, I enjoy that way more. And I think that way, just focusing on this body composition thing and aging and realizing how important it is brought me so much more away from all the unhealthy eating habits than any therapy would ever. Any therapy I've ever had, any clinic I've ever been to, people weighing me on a daily basis, telling me to just eat normal and stuff like that. None of this really helped me. What helped me was just surviving and aging, and at some point you grow out of this bullshit. And I still think that for me, I will always go for my slight underweight. I felt happiest at a slight underweight, and I will, yeah, I think maybe I'm just, I'm a body positive person, but I think it should go both ways. I don't have a problem with a slight overweight, but people are so critical about slight underweight. So I'm not that. I'm gonna see where my journey is taking me. Right now, I'm not super happy with my body composition because I have a lot of fat tissue and not so much muscle tissue. I want more muscles, and my weight, I basically really don't care about it as long as I look like I want to look. Um, and I kind of have this idea in my head that I want to look like a person who works out. So, because I think it's a huge boost of confidence for me. I don't think that humans exist in this space where they only do stuff for themselves. I think that is one of the biggest lie that feminists want to tell us. And I just don't feed into this. I just don't think that you do anything for yourself. Yeah, we're not that intelligent. We do stuff for other people. We do stuff for other people because we're social animals. And that's not a horrible thing, and you don't have to feel weird about it. That's what I think. I don't think that it's a bad thing to say, I want to dress up for my significant other, or I want to be fit so my kid sees me be fit. Maybe some people are out there just finding it in themselves and say like, I'm doing this 100% for myself. But I personally think most people don't. I think most people want to be accepted socially, want to be loved, want to be adored, and I think that's normal. I just think that the motivation that you need to get there must come from your inside with a GHT, not inside, inside. So you must understand that you need to change and why it's important. And for me, it was like, I need to be healthier, otherwise, I will still have migraines and I will not succeed in university and I will just be a total mess and hate my life, and I don't want that. So, that and the change of life circumstances was like a really lucky coincidence. Like me understanding that I was just ruining my health, but also the lucky coincidence that I met someone, that I was just getting out there more, partying, having places to be. And that also brings me to a really interesting experiment that I want to talk about. It's called the Red Park experiment. Yeah, Red Park experiment. You should totally look that up. There's also an awesome comic about this. And it explains why drugs work the way they do. And I don't say that food is a drug, but some people treat it like a drug. And some people are maybe addicted to, yeah, the flash of happy hormones that you get from certain foods. Like this. Yeah. So, and the Red Park experiment is like an updated experiment from an original experiment done, I think, in the 80s or 70s. Initially, the scientists would put rats into normal rat cages. They had like a bunch of rats and a test group and a control group of rats. And they would give the rats two options. Water with heroin in it, or morphine or something, water soluble, heroin water, and tap water. And so the rats, they would observe the rats over a course of a few weeks, I guess, and then observe whether the rats would prefer to go to the heroin water or the water. And what do you think what happens? Like, what do you think? Just think about it for like a second. It's actually pretty trivial. Like if you're in a cage and you have the option between heroin and water, what do you take? I take the heroin. So the rats are not stupid. I think actually some rats are more intelligent than some humans. So the rats took the heroin option, of course. And that is how the American drug policies were made, basically, I think. Because after that, it was like, oh, heroin is so addictive. If you like take heroin once, you're gonna be an addict. Like, boom, immediately. Spoiler alert, that's not how it works. Here's how it works. So, the miserable, lonely, caged rats that were in like cages, each at their own, without anything nice, like chicken in these chicken farms. It's like chicken jail, like rat jail. So the rats were basically in fucking rat jail, having only heroin or water as an option, and their stupid ass, shitty rat cheap food that those scientists probably gave them because nobody gave a shit about lab rats at this point. Like, I think veganism wasn't a thing back then either. So, yeah, maybe some Greenpeace going on, I don't know. Probably not too much with the rats. So, anyway, what happened is, a bunch of decades later, some really cool scientists said to themselves, well, we're not that stupid as people were in back then, in the age of oblivion. We're gonna redo this thing and rewrite history. So what they did is they put rats in a thing called Red Park. And the rats were not in the single cages anymore, as in locked away, no sunlight, no friends to play with, no stuff to hide, no rat sex, obviously no rat porn because rats can't watch the other rats doing the deed. Um, because animals do that. Like, yeah, they enjoy watching. So, and what else? What else do they have? Like, stuff to hide, nice food, nice rat food, and a whole lot of space. So, fucking rat wonderland. What you think would the rats do now with the heron water? You think rats would use the heron water like all the time? Because in the previous experiment, the rats would basically just opt for the heron water like all the time. Morning, good morning. So in the old experiment where the rats were like singled out in their single cages, they would go for the heron water like I think 9 times out of 10. What do you think is the ratio in the new experiment where the rats are in the rat Disneyland basically? What has happened then? It was like the opposite way around, it was like the other way around. The rats rarely ever wanted to go for the heron water. And I say it's like occasionally like having your what. Not supposed to say that on YouTube, but occasionally adults nowadays, when they want to chill with other adults, they just do this. Are all these people addicts? Do they need this on a daily basis? I don't think so. Because if you do something occasionally just for you enjoying yourself with your friends, like the rats did in their rat Disneyland, I don't know, thing, they just occasionally wanted the heroin. Why is that so? So the hypothesis here is that the rats were fucking happy. And they weren't happy in the cages before because cages are awful. You don't want to be in rat jail. If you're in rat jail, of course you're using. And yeah, what you say, daily consumption, that's coping. That's a coping mechanism. You're coping with being in rat jail. So if you're in rat jail, maybe your coping mechanism is overeating or some other drug or gaming or just watching YouTube all day, watching people live stream stupid shit online. Maybe that's a drug. And anything can be a drug because if it releases endorphins or other stimulating hormones that makes you feel better instantly, instant gratification, that is what you do to yourself. And what you do is you mess up your natural response and your natural trouble tolerance. As in, you're fucking up your resilience, you're fucking up your willpower, and you're basically fucking up your life and fucking yourself over. So that is what I did because I felt like I was living in a rat cage. I was in an unhappy, abusive relationship. I was unhappy about basically everything I did. I didn't only get A's in university, so I was unhappy about that because I'm a little perfectionist and stuff. And a lot of things weren't going my way at this point. My parents were sick. A lot of stuff happened. So I was not happy. And that was why I wasn't eating well. And what do I think about this now? Today, I think that you should strive is that a word? You should go for being in a place where your eating habits are not dependent of outside motivation, outside factors, and basically anything outside-ish. Just as you would go and work out, you would go and do yoga, you would go to work religiously, no matter what. And the same way you would treat your eating habits, you would eat like you would tell your kid to eat. You would eat like you would tell someone you deeply care about to eat. Religiously, because you should care about yourself. You're the person you're going to spend the most time of your life with for the rest of your life. And the time you spend with other people only goes down when you become older, sadly. I try to not do that. I try to hang out with people a lot. That's why I do sports, because you meet a lot of people when you do sports. But it's hard. Trust me, if you're in your 20s now, you're grown older. In your 30s, you will have half the friends from now. They don't get more. So you need to make friends with yourself. And I think, a lot of people don't realize that until it's too late, and then they are kind of already in this unhappy place. I don't want to be an unhappy place. I want to be in a happy place. And my happy place is being happy with my body, being happy with my looks, and being happy with the endurance that I have. So, for instance, I joined a gym, although I am pretty opposed to gym memberships. I think they're clutter. And I think it's mentally stressful to have to be committed to something because they only give you like these 1 year contracts and stuff. So I really don't like that. But I committed anyway to being a member of a gym because I needed the height training. I needed the stepmaster and stuff to improve my mountaineering abilities because I want to do mountaineering on 2.5k meters this year. And in order to do that in August, at the peak of the sun just burning down on you, I want to be fit because I don't want to die on a mountain. So I need to do this. It's not really an option. And so I committed to doing this. But I also committed to lifting weight because I'm in my late 30s. So that means I'm losing muscle while I'm breathing. And that means I have to do something about not losing the muscle. And about the eating, well, I would say let's say I'm 57% there, at the point where I want to be with my eating. I'm not a restrictive eater, and maybe we can wrap it up like this way with the whole intuitive eating topic and why I would say I'm not an intuitive eater. I'm more a scientific eater. I love reading research on certain topics. I love seeing where the science is with a certain foods and how how metabolism works and certain parts of it. I'm just interested in that kind of stuff because I'm naturally interested in scientific approaches to all problems in life. Because when I was a kid, we did not have access to YouTube. We did not have access to scientific data. How it is today, we did not have access to all this ResearchGate, PubMed, that kind of stuff. Cochrane reviews all over the place. We could not just look that up or steal it on some Russian paper server. It was not possible. If you wanted to read a paper, you needed to be a scientist and no other scientist and ask them and just give them a call and ask them how they did their research and if they could send you the paper per email. Okay? It wasn't like just you could go someplace and download it. That was not doable. And I mean, just the fact that you can, if you want to learn a new skill, you only have to research it yourself and you have to go in deep enough and you will be able to master that skill. It only depends on you. And I think that's true for almost everything. Like I got myself into figure skating and all that I've learned, almost everything, I've learned by myself. I had 2 lessons in half a year and everything else I just learned by myself. So I truly think that you can make progress. I think you also need supervision at some point. But with the certain topics that are not super complicated and also where there are a lot of people who claim to be experts that aren't really experts, like your general practitioner or something, they're not going to be an expert on nutrition either. They're just not used to saying, I don't know. Like in med school, you're not told to say, I don't know. You're told to say, I think, and then some vague explanation, You're not supposed to tell a patient to the face that you have no idea about this and no clue, and so they would just go with lose the weight, whatever. So I think if you're educating yourself on a certain topic, that is always a good thing. And I started educating myself about all sorts of stuff nutrition-wise because as I said, I never really cared about my nutrition. I just ate whatever. And even when I had lost the weight, I still was kind of in an unhealthy, I don't like the word relationship with food because relationships are not with foods, they're with people. So, I don't know, that was just not a good spot either, but over time I think it improved. And the biggest it improved was when I had my kid, because I would not feed crap to my kid. And at some point at this point you start to distinguish like really, really harsh between this and that. My kid does not get this. I mean, occasionally, rarely, yeah. Daily? Hell no. I don't want that mother of the award. No. So yeah, but I'm also not eating this in front of my kid, because I'm not that much of an asshole. So yeah, that way I just found out about all sorts of ingredients that were in foods, and they were like, holy shit, like why is that even in there? It's just a filler to make it heavier, and the kid doesn't need that. And so we started making our own foods, and we're baking our own bread, and it's really nice bread. If you want to see what bread we're baking, just check out my what I eat in a day video, and then you can see like my diet when it's at its absolute best, because usually I don't eat that well. But this video is pretty representative of what I think is like a balanced but not perfect way of eating. And I don't think that there should be perfectionism in eating, because that's just orthorexia. But you should have certain rules that make sense and standards, and being like, I don't need brownie on a daily basis. Maybe you also don't need salad on a daily basis. I think if I have to choose between salad on a daily basis and a brownie, I would always go for the salad, because salad does no harm. Like, what's with my eyebrow? See, too much salad. Maybe I should put some Botox in here. Like, give me a bunch of like button clicks if you think I should put Botox in my head. I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not there yet. Anyway, so why not intuitively? Well, if I start eating intuitively again now, I think it would probably work out for me better than it did when I was like in a really bad place, coming from 10 years of eating. Yeah, I think I would have, if I would do that now, I would probably be okay. But back then I wasn't. So, and I would not have been. And had I continued honoring my cravings for one more year, I don't know what would have happened. But these headaches were so bad at some point, I don't know. It was really mind numbing, and I thought like at some point, I think I remember I woke up one night and just like half of my face and my arm were like completely paralyzed. I could not move it. I couldn't move my eye. I couldn't move my arm. Probably slept on it or something like. But also my face. That was really weird. And at that point, I was like, did I just have a stroke? Am I so fat that I got a stroke? Like, fuck what? Oh, and then the other moment that was kind of enlightening to me was when I had a friend, and she was also fat. And I use the words fat because I think the fat acceptance community, they use it, so that's on you. But it's also like, there's no shame in saying it, and I just want to de-shame that. So I had another fat friend, and she was also trying to lose weight like me without any success. And we were sitting in a coffee place having coffee, and she was like sitting like this, and I was sitting like this, and she was saying, "Oh, you do that too?" And I was like, "What? With the neck?" And I'm like, "What am I doing with my neck?" And she's like the fat turtle look. And I was like, "Fat turtle? Yeah, like just looking up so nobody sees your double chin." I was like, "Fuck you! I don't have a double chin. Show me then." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And I was like, I can't do it now because I don't have a double chin anymore. But I did back then. Like, in addition to my gigantic useless boobs, I also had a gigantic second chin, which I don't want back. Ever. Goodbye, motherfucker. So yeah, that happened. And that point where I saw my photos, I wanted to share those photos online, just to share before and after, because before and afters are awesome. But I can't find them anymore because I had a RAID 0 at this point, and my RAID broke. My RAID controller burned to the ground. And I tried to save it, but all the photos were just half there, just the top or the bottom was missing. There was some serious damage to the files and I couldn't recover it. Otherwise, I would totally share my fat pics online because proof. But yes, no way I have those photos anymore. If I find them, I will totally share them because I think it's worth sharing how shitty I just look. Anyway, would I do intuitive eating now? Would I recommend it? I would actually recommend my approach. And so let me explain what my approach is. I think I go by certain food rules, as in, I don't buy trigger foods anymore. Like, or I try to make trigger foods untriggering, as in like this. You know, when I was in my bad place and not my happy place, when I was in my unhappy place, you know, I could not sit there and just have this brownie. The brownie would be gone in like 2 seconds. And I wouldn't even enjoy this. Like, that was how bad it is. How bad it was. And so, I would bring foods out of my life that were trigger foods to me. I would just not buy them anymore. For instance, I would just take cash to the supermarket. So I had like 10 euros of cash, which was like about probably like $13 or 15 or something, I don't know. And I would just take that to the supermarket and just buy the essentials, because otherwise I would not have, I don't know, milk and noodles or something. So I would buy that first so that there was not enough money to buy junk food. That's one thing that I did that really helped me. What else? Well, I just in general try to implement more fruits and veggies into my diet. And one big step up that I did was making delicious salads. Because salads, I don't think that actually that tasty. But I started making really great salads with great dressings. Like, I just got into making the most delicious salad sauce, salad dressings. And I hear all the people like in the fitness industry, they're always like, don't put olive oil on the salad, that's too much, you know, olive oil has so many calories. Well, it's still better than to put oil in a pan and fry like a huge schnitzel in it, okay? It's still less, the salad is still less than that, and it's more filling and satisfying. Or just, you know, to put something fried somewhere, you know, no. I really think that still, for most people that are obese, the salad is going to be the hugest improvement already. You can reduce your olive oil later if you still feel like you need to, but I'd rather dial down the snacks and have more olive oil on my salad because oil is delicious. And so my trick to make delicious dressings is to put it in a shaker and I shake it really hard, because then that way you get a really good mixture and it's just so much more tasty. And to put onions in the dressing, not just on the salad. Like, you cut up a quarter of an onion and put that in dressing, and that's gonna be so delicious with a little bit of salt and pepper and maybe mustard. So yeah, that is the way I make my salads. And also to chop up everything very, very small. Like, you know, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you get some veggies on the side, and it's like chopped into these really small little pieces, you know, like when you have what is it, you know, the green ones that are not cucumbers. Shit, I don't know the English word for it, but you know what I mean. Not the eggplants, but they're related, like the best friend of the eggplant. That thing. It's called, we say zucchini. Do you say zucchini? That one, anyway. Like, you see them chopped up really nice. The Chinese restaurants, people, they do that. And so the smaller you make the pieces, the more tasty it is, because more surface, always more taste. And that way I kind of overcame my hate for salads. And I also ate a lot of salads in restaurants. Like, when I could afford it, I would go to a restaurant, work there, and order a salad and a huge cappuccino, actually. I never went for black coffee. That is from my anorexic days. I've never had black coffee since then. Only, I mean, espresso, yeah, but it has to be like a good one here with the crema, you know. good Italian espresso, and not shitty German filter coffee from a coffee machine. Oh no, I don't get it. You know the hipsters? They all make this coffee thing where they brew the coffee with water through a handheld filter or something. That is so stupid. I don't get it. Why wouldn't you make real espresso? That is the queen of coffee, you morons. Anyway, if you like it, good for you, all the power to you, but I still pity you because this is the supreme coffee. Like you need this in your life. If you don't, oops, if you don't have that in your life, you don't know what you're missing, and if you don't know what you're missing, you cannot say that what you have is good enough already. Just like with freedom. So anyway, that salads help me, and having purposeful hobbies. It's just like the most important thing, that you have something that's extremely fulfilling and makes you go for bettering yourself, for being better. And for me right now, this is skating, obviously, really helping me to improve myself, but also I did a lot of music. In the past, I played guitar, I played violin, I played the piano, and I sang. Sang? Yeah, the past of singing. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't have that good of a singing voice, but I just could mix. I could hit a lot of high and deep notes. So I was kind of good at that, and so I was just getting into singing. But at some point, but those were my meaningful hobbies, like music, partying hard. What else? Yeah, basically music. Now I don't party anymore, so what I do now is I figure skating. I do YouTube, obviously, and yeah, just editing, the hiking. How could I not mention the hiking before YouTube? If I would have to choose between doing my hobbies and YouTube, I would always pick my hobbies. If I would give you the choice right now, and I say you have to pick, you can never watch a YouTube video ever again in your life, or you cannot do your hobby anymore, and you say, okay, well, I go for not doing my hobby anymore, I just want to keep watching YouTube videos, and then you're a moron. You haven't found the right hobby yet, because you don't do a hobby for social media, you do it for yourself. You don't do a hobby to have a hobby, you do a hobby because it's making you feel great. And social aspect, you meet awesome people while doing that hobby, because as I said, I don't think a single person on this planet is doing stuff just for themselves. Like, if you are the last person on the planet, would you still go on mountains and climb the mountains? Probably not, because there are so many mountain lions there now that there are no more humans disturbing them. Yeah, but if there are no mountain lions, would you still go on the mountain just to enjoy the view? I'm not sure if I would, because I would want to share it with somebody, even if it's just over social media. But I'm not sure I would do that. Would I still play music? I'm not sure that I still would, because it's so arrogant to say, like, oh, of course I would, I love my hobby. Like, hey, come on, humble yourself a little bit. It's okay to be a social animal and to do stuff for others. It's okay to dress up for others, to put makeup on for others. Doesn't matter if it's like other women or other men, because there's also this debate, like, do women dress up to impress men or actually to impress other women? I don't know, and I don't give a shit. Like, I accept that I don't do this fully for myself. I like it when I don't see, like, here my dark lines on my eyes. I like that. But why do I care? Do I care because I don't like it? Probably. But I also feel better when I know that I'm in a social situation and I don't look like I haven't slept in 3 days and everybody can see it, So, yeah, anyway. So let's read through the messages. Sorry. Espresso is way better, but every other coffee now tastes bad. Yeah, feel ya. So, like, I went to Italy, and when you cross the border from Germany to Italy, Germany to Austria, sorry, Austria. Yeah, it's a German joke. I try to forget Austria. You know, whenever I pass through Austria, it's like, let's get it over with. I want to get to, I want to get to France, to Corsica. Like that's the only time when I pass through Italy. But Italy, oh, they make awesome coffee. Like that is, I'm not a big fan of Italy because it's so touristy. But the coffee. So that's why I got an espresso machine, because I just wanted to take that home without having to deal with Italy and the shitty roads over there. Like, if you're an American and you think Italy is awesome, the people are nice, and you know, as long as they don't treat you like a tourist, they're pretty nice actually if you get to know them. Um, but the tourists and the tourist spot and basically every other beach, yeah, it's hard to find good places. Like you cannot be like the big places in Italy, and the roads are so shitty when you come from Germany. So anyway, but espresso. Yeah, anyway, let's get back to the diet advice and stuff. So basically, I was occupied with not thinking about food. That was the trick. There was no trick. That's what I'm saying. My life got better. That's why I had it in me all of a sudden to not eat all the time. Because when you're overthinking this, when you're always thinking like, I'm not sure what I should do, like should I eat? I want this so much, but when I eat this, I'm gonna be in a surplus, I'm gonna overeat, I'm gonna gain weight. You're not gonna get there. I don't think that that is a sustainable way. That's how anorexics think. Um, I think the most sustainable way to lose weight without thinking about losing the weight is to concentrate on what you're missing out on. Like, what's your red part? What's the red part that you need to be happy so that you don't need the heroin water anymore, like the rats did? And when you have found that, and I think you really need to sit down or go on one of those mental health walks, you know, I really think you should do that and really think about it. Like, go to the forest, go for 2 to 4 hours. Yeah, I said 2 to 4. Go to the forest for 2 to 4 hours and think about your life, and don't take your phone. Or maybe do take your phone if you're an American, because you've got so many serial killers running around over there. So sorry for you guys. Maybe in the forest, you know, since you're getting mugged like every other second. Yeah, maybe if you're in Europe, you don't need to bring your phone. But if you're in America, better bring your phone. Also, you guys, you seem to get lost in the forest all the time. Yeah, maybe bring a GPS too. So go to the forest, talk to yourself in your head, and ask yourself why you're not happy. Because if you're overeating, you got an eating disorder. That's like the definition of an eating disorder. If you're having a problem with eating a balanced diet, why can't you not do it? What is missing in your life? Because something is, if you're having this problem, if you're overthinking this, you are having a problem, you are having an ED, maybe a low level ED, entrance level addiction, like, I don't know. But I say you have a problem if you're overthinking this. And so try to find out what the reason for that is. And so I'm not an emotional eater, so I cannot really relate to people eating when they're sad or upset or something. That was actually never my problem. I just really liked food, so I wanted to have a lot of it. And I just enjoyed eating the food. Maybe I was an emotional eater after all, I just didn't see it that way or didn't notice it. You know, since I was really unhappy and food was making me happy because I liked food. And that way it makes sense that I was improving my emotional state with it. But I think that's inherently normal. I think it's inherently normal to eat food to feel better. As in, after a long day, do you reward yourself with dinner with your family? Of course that is a reward. Like, and I'm not opposed to being rewarded with food. Like, food is social, food is emotional, that's not wrong. And I think it's very normal that when you get home and you have a beer and have your junk food or whatever, I think that's a very normal thing to do, and it's not something you should cut out of your life. I just try to make it healthier. And with the foods that I have, I also try to go for foods, and that is something I have from a channel. It's called Greg Doucette, Coach Greg. Yeah, he's a bodybuilder. He looks ridiculous, like totally not what I'm going for in my life. But when you get past all the shouting that he does, he seems like a decent guy. So I actually like to watch his videos. And he said like he has this diet book. It's called the Circle Diet. I didn't buy the book, but I watched a lot of his videos, and what he says is like a dumbed down version of biochemistry, and I think it can help a lot of people. So, for instance, he says, bring down, um, bring the foods into your circle, and he says like, make it be okay for you to eat that kind of food. As in, if a brownie is a trigger food for you, then maybe go for a chocolate cookie. Make it 70% as good as the brownie. And that is something you need initial discipline to do. Like when you're in the shop, you need the discipline to not buy the brownie and then later, eat that. And that is something that I do because, it makes sense. If I want, for instance, a chocolate banana, I'm just gonna buy a normal banana and eat that, and I'm gonna be fine. And over time, you're gonna adapt to it. You're gonna be fine. And it's just like something where you have to trust the process and your body to adapt. Because maybe that would be the final thing that I would have to say about this. Taste buds change. As I said, when I was like overeating all the time, I had no taste whatsoever for fruit and veggies. I just didn't like them. I thought that all veggies taste like nothing, totally boring. Even when I put spices on it, I was like, well, it tastes like nothing. But when I actually, at some point, I was a vegan. And when I was a vegan, after like half a year, I tried some sausage, I think. And I was like, ew, that tastes disgusting, like death. Because my taste buds had changed so much. And so I truly believe it also works the other way around, as in when you're eating crap all the time, you will find the crap to be the new normal and the healthy stuff to be yucky. And so don't sabotage yourself. Mind over matter. You gotta bring yourself, you gotta use your brain to bring yourself to make the right decisions and push you in the right directions, and you have to involve your brain. That's why I don't like intuitive eating, because it says switch off your brain and just trust your gut. My gut doesn't know shit. My brain knows a lot about nutrition. My gut doesn't know shit. I don't want my gut to go for the brownie every day. I don't want my gut to make the decisions. I want my brain to make the decisions, because the brain is telling me what I need to eat, and the gut is telling me what I want to eat. So, do I still honor my cravings though? Yeah. When I feel like something salty one day, maybe that's an indicator that I'm missing some salty compounds in my diet, and my body is telling me that. I will go for that food. But I have a curated range of foods, like a library of foods that I eat from, and some foods, are excluded from that library, and I don't eat them. I just don't eat them anymore. This includes stuff like, I wouldn't say pizza. I have a pizza occasionally, but usually I would never eat a pizza on a daily basis. It's not something I would buy and want to have in my home. Or whiskey. I would not want to have whiskey in my home because I would not want that many calories and that much alcohol in with one sip. Like I would just go for some other beverage if I wanted to drink alcohol, probably some wine or something even lower than that. Cidre is something that I really like. So, or sugar. I replaced sugar with xylitol. A lot of people don't like the xylitol because it is has this cool toothpastey feeling in the mouth, and it's a little bit like bubblegum, when you take the sugar-free bubblegum. And some people don't like that, but I think it's all about what you adapt to. And do I miss having sugar in my life? No, because whenever I put this, I eat froth milk a lot, because I just like I like how it feels. It's like I think it's really tasty. And I put this on top and I eat this in the morning. Just check out my video about what I eat in a day. I do it there. And so every time I eat this, I think like, yeah, goodbye, curious. Because this is like sugar. I'm not a sugar hater, just like I'm not a carbophobe. But I don't think that you need so much processed sugar in your life. Hey, good morning. You don't need so much processed sugar in your life. You don't need that on your coffee. It's completely obsolete and it doesn't add any nutritional value. So I'd rather have this fiber stuff that doesn't hurt me, but it tastes make it taste better. It still makes it taste better than without it. Maybe it's not 100% of what I like, as in the sugar, but it's 70-80% as good. Like what I said with this guy who made this circular diet book. I think that makes sense. And I do that with all my foods. I try to not go for the highly palatable, super amazing, uber crazy nice foods. But instead of buying these highly processed foods, I just try and improve my cooking. Because if I take the time out of my day to cook something, you know, then I want it to taste almost as good as restaurant level. So I rather work on that than just bringing a lot of highly palatable foods from, the storage shelves into my life. It's also way less expensive if you make your own foods, make your own salads, bake your own cookies, put them in the freezer, eat them later, So yeah, that is what I do. Is how I live now. Am I at my perfect body composition? What do I want with my body, with my weight? I personally don't have a weight goal. I don't think it's too healthy to have a weight goal because how will you know that this weight is the right weight for you? How will you know that you will feel better? Why does it depend on the number? I think you should truly ask yourself that if you have this number in mind, because I think that is inherently a little bit of just disordered eating thinking, in my opinion. Why does it have to be a number? Why not a body composition? If you cannot trust your look into the mirror, if you have body dysmorphia and you look into the mirror and just thinking like, how do I know that I look better now? And when will I be happy with myself? That can also be a problem, sure. But what helped me in this case was actually filming video instead of photos. Like that is like a huge bonus tip for you guys. If you're having trouble with that and you think like, I don't know, do I look better? Do I feel better? Take videos of yourself like every other month maybe, or every 2 or 3 weeks, not too often, and look how your body changes. Because when I was first looking at my first video, I will actually probably publish my journey, my fitness journey on my Patreon, because I'm not really comfortable with showing myself in a bikini on public YouTube. I'm just not comfortable with that. But I'm going to share it on my Patreon. So, or my YouTube members, of course. So, in time, when I get there. I'm not there yet. But yeah, if you want to see that process, just keep the bell on, because I will do a community post in time so that you can see those updates later, because I documented that. I document everything in my life with YouTube. So, and when I was looking at the videos and the photos, I was thinking like, what? I lost 2 pounds and I was working out. I hugely increased my strength on not the bench press, the leg press. From the leg press, from going from 120 pounds, I went up into through the course of I think 8 or 10 weeks to 250 pounds. That's my current leg press that I can do. And I think I have pretty strong legs now. So I was thinking like, my legs should have increased a little bit. But as I said, I hold a lot of fat in my lower body. So it is kind of hard to see on video. And I was just looking at this video, I was like, am I not seeing it because I'm so messed up? because I have body dysmorphia, or am I not seeing it because I didn't change? And at that point, I had actually gained a little bit of weight and was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be muscle, this is gonna be muscle, yeah. And it kind of, and I looked at the video and I was like, was it though? Or did I just eat too many brownies? Because you gotta fuel your workout. Yeah, not really, no, you don't. Just eat 5 times a day and you'll be fine. But anyway, so I was looking at the video and I was like, looking at my thighs and I was thinking, is there any change? But then after a while I saw it and I saw, yeah, it has increased. Because do you know this composition, this body composition? Let me show you. When you're like a skinny fat kind of person, like you hold a lot of fat, but you don't really have muscles, and you have like this composition where your legs are just holding a lot of fat here. Like, oh, my legs look very slim right now. But here, look like this. And you have a lot of fat here. And you think like, and the leg is going in this shape, like you have this piece here is doing this shape. See, like a banana, so super round. Yeah, sometimes that is body composition, but when I was a half marathon runner, my legs did not look like this curved, this outside curve. My legs were straight because it was all filled up with muscle. And that is what I saw. When I looked at my before and after pictures, I was like, holy shit, it is filling up again. I'm not actually gaining fat, I'm actually really gaining muscle. Awesome! And when I saw that, I just felt so happy. Because you know how hard it is to gain in your late 30s? And so yeah, that was something like really healthy for me, and I was really happy about that. Because yeah, my legs aren't that bad, but I also look really slim in the video right now. But thank you. But that is also a problem, when you share something and you're like a tiny person with like, I have a loose sweater, so you cannot see my belly and anything. And you will not see the areas that I don't feel comfortable about, because this is shapewear, what I'm wearing. And that is also a thing, like if someone is telling you like, oh, I'm not so happy with my body composition, I lost a lot of muscle, gained a lot of fat, and you say that, but you look tiny. Yeah, you look that way, but you don't have the strength, you don't feel strong if you have holding a lot of fat. And personally, I don't really care about the size of my body. I just care about the composition, because the fat layer is not paying rent, and it doesn't help me climb the mountain better, So that is something I just don't need in my life. It's just jiggling and not paying rent. So, but yeah, I think I'm at a body that a lot of people would want, I truly want to kind of, what do you say? I want to acknowledge that, as in like, I'm not at a point where, some people would say you don't need to improve. But that's also kind of devalidating, like we always have room for improvement. Everybody always has room for improvement. And I think even the best like fitness models and stuff, they probably have eating disorders. They have room for improvement to just, eat better or maybe something like that. Everybody has problems. Like, especially on social media, just trust me, everybody's faking it and faking the happiness and faking the best life and just trying to make you think that they have it figured out. We don't have shit figured out on social media. I don't think that most influencers are that happy. I think that they're showing you the happy places, but they don't show you the dark places. Yeah, maybe. I hope I showed you some of my dark places right now, and that made you guys happy. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of body composition, that is my long-term goal. I just want to up my muscle or strength. And muscle, I also don't mean that in terms of mass, because I said my legs got more muscle mass, and I'm happy about that, really happy. Now my pants don't fit anymore actually, and then in the beginning I was like, oh, I want to lose some of the fat so I can wear my skinny pants from my 20s, because I have 2 pants It is still not from my 20s, and I think like I want to fit into my marathon runner pants again. I don't think it's gonna happen. I really don't think it's gonna happen. I'm gonna declutter those pants. But yeah, because now I changed my approach to it, and I think it's a healthier approach than to say like I want thin legs, because I want strong legs. And hypertrophy does not necessarily correlate with the strength. You know, a little hypertrophy, as in my case, yeah, but do you see the huge strength increase that I put on with the leg press? Now compare this to my muscle growth, it's like non-existent. I mean, there is some growth, but not a huge difference. So, yeah, I'd say, you know, don't focus on that kind of stuff. Don't focus on that, don't focus on numbers, focus on how you look and feel, how your strength is. I personally, I measure my workouts, so I write down every time that I do a workout, I write that down. I actually, on my homepage, I have a template, free template that you can download if you want to track your own workout, and you can just enter the numbers there and just track your cardio and track your weightlifting if you're doing weightlifting. So that is what I do, so that I see how far I've come. And it's really surprising sometimes, because there is stuff like the lat pull down, and I feel like I'm so bad on the lat pull down. It hurts me when I do this right now because I'm still sore. And I do this pull down and I think like, I have not improved in weeks. And then I look at the chart and it's like actually improved 300%. And I'm like, what? You know, if you're not good at judging yourself, then use numbers. If you're not good at knowing how much you eat, track calories or track macros or something. Or, you know, just start a food diary, as in not super controlling, not, you know, you don't have to be bodybuilder precise. But I don't think that tracking is a bad thing. I personally don't track my foods because it's just too much of a chore for me. I did that when I measured my maintenance level, caloric maintenance level, because I wanted to prove that it is as low as 1,300 calories. Because everyone is always giving me shit like, an active woman in your age group and needs to eat 2,000 calories. No, I don't. And I have proof. Piss off. Piss off, get out of my fucking life. Because no, I don't need 2,000 calories for maintenance. When I'm just sitting at my desk in home office. Nope. I need 1,300, maybe 1,400. Not much more than that. If I eat more than that, I just gain and gain and gain. And also, by the way, intuitive eating that I did for 2 years, it didn't even fix my metabolism. I didn't even up that, maybe 100 kilocalories, yeah, maybe, but not more than that. Like, and I think that if I had recovered just from my disordered eating just like that, without overeating, I would have also gotten to that same point, but it didn't even heal my metabolism in any way. In fact, I've read a study, and I think that crash dieting and disordered eating can have an effect that might last way longer than two years on your metabolism, putting you into survival mode for maybe the rest of your life even. Nobody knows, because those studies, they all end after a few years because they stop surveilling the people. So, hey, what you writing? Hi, Dawn. I stopped tracking calories, but I recommend everyone to spend 1 or 2 days. What you saying? Oh no, here. I recommend everyone to spend 1 to 2 days researching the nutrition of most foods. Yeah, that's a good tip actually. I think, you know, if you're looking into what, you know, what's in your brownie, what's in your apple, you need some fiber maybe in your life so you can go and poop. Maybe combine those two. And I think it's a good advice. It's a good piece of advice to just at least research the macros. You know, you don't have to know every calorie value on the planet, but I think there are simple concepts to this. And I think that nutrition is also something interesting and something that you can optimize. So I'm a physicist. I really like optimizing stuff. I really like measuring stuff. And actually for me, it was really helpful to track for like before I started this kind of fitness journey, if you want to call it that, I started, tracking my macros and tracking my caloric intake, and then I correlated it and put a floating average over it, so I could do a proper correlation, because nutrition intake is not just the day before and then you look at the scale and it just has an immediate effect. No, I looked at 3 days actually in a row, put a floating average over it, and then I analyzed it so I could have a good correlation, and also looked at the median values, because median better than average and better than less just a daily what you're weighing. That's just like the daily weigh-in doesn't really mean anything because weight fluctuates all the time. But I found it really interesting to measure that, and to me it was actually helpful because I could destigmatize the whole eating process this way for me, because I was thinking like, if I'm gonna track my intake again, I don't want it to be triggered and unhealthy and disordered. I want it to be just very emotionless and practical and useful, and I don't want it to be the way that it would have maybe been a while ago, So I want to read the comment again. Come on, comment. Come on. Why doesn't it pop up? Sometimes when I push the display the wrong way, then I will just end the live stream, and I've done that before. I would eat your delicious brownies. Well, they're actually really shitty brownies that I just bought because I wanted brownies. I'm not gonna buy those again, but those are proprietary blend. They're Milka, if you know, like the chocolate company. Like, yeah, child labor. Here you go. Not gonna buy that again, but I'm gonna try to make my own brownies at some point. This was like a one-time thing, I think. The only sweet I eat are grandma's cakes. Is grandma's cakes a brand, or you mean your real grandma? Like, because I don't have a grandma anymore, I cannot, have grandma's cakes. I need to have French cookies instead. By the way, are any French people here? Because like my favorite cake is the Queen Amman. Oh, the Breton cake is so good. Like, Breton food is like the best food. If you're from Brittany, salut Bretagne. Your real grandma? Your real grandma's making cake and cookies? Oh man. Like, you hopefully you say thank you to your grandma a lot. Like, oh, I wish I still had my grandma. Anyway, let's not end this on a sad grandma note. Let's end this on like something cool. What can I say? Figure skating season is over now here in Germany, so my rink is closed, and I will actually have to drive 2 hours to another rink, or 6 hours to one of the other rinks, because one is in a tiny village, 2 hours from here, and the other one is in fucking Cologne. But I lived in Cologne, as I told you, I'm commuted there, so I'm probably gonna visit Cologne at some point. So yeah, let's see about that. And then I will film a vlog. I don't know if you guys watch my vlogs, but if you're so deep into this channel that you're even watching these boring lives, like, oh, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Like, you amaze me, because like I'm not even watching anybody's live stream. But if you're doing that, like, I mean, I don't know why you do it. Maybe you can tell me in the comments. Like, is this helping you to fall asleep? Does it make sense? Does it help you in any way? Because I just wanted to put out a live stream, to put out something, and to give a little update, and to talk about this podcast and this topic in general. And it's probably gonna ruin my channel again, because it's always, I'm always coming off so strong and nasty in these ones. But then I'm like, oh, come on, guys, just let's be cool. Let's just talk and debate stuff. Like, anyone else have the feeling that you cannot debate stuff anymore? That like it always feels like on the internet you're walking on eggshells and you have to agree with everyone like 100%. Otherwise they just don't like you. Positive vibes in the morning. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be like that. Like, when I think about my YouTube content, I don't want to beat around the bush and cater to everyone, and I think it's so normal to not agree 100% with other people and just disagree in some parts and just still be okay with that person and still, like I follow a lot of people that I don't agree 100% with what they do, but I still follow them because, like, let's say 59% of the content is just what I like. Anyway, let's yeah. Let's end the live stream. I hope you all have like a really great rest of the week. It's only 3.5 more days of work, hopefully, unless you're like working some shift or in a hospital. But if you're just an average person on a desk job, then woo, yeah, not so long. And I hope you have a nice rest of the week. If you have any questions, if you want me to make a video of any of those topics that I touched on in this video specifically, please write a comment about this exact topic and what your exact question is, and then I maybe make a topic. If you're a member supporting this channel, thank you. I really appreciate everyone who's supporting the channel. I will make more content soon. I'm still working on my hiking videos. I also have some minimalism videos in the making, but it'll all just have to, take its time. I have to work on this and make it nice because, as you know, I'm a perfectionist. I'm always going to be a perfectionist. Not fighting this anymore at this point. I'm too old for that shit. But I hope you're all doing well. And Oh, one last question. Okay, do you have a video on what you spend your money? Yeah, I have a video like that. As a minimalist, I earn way more than I spend, and should be too in your case. Yeah, I have spent most of my money on food and travel. So now already over. Already it's 1 hour 42 minutes right now. Already, like I feel this is the longest live stream that I have ever done. It's gonna be public or unlisted later. So, and you will find this live stream in a playlist called Coffee Talks, something with coffee. So if you want to rewatch it and all the other cringy live streams that I did, just check out that playlist and I will update the description and everything later. And yeah, then feel free to check that out. So thanks everyone. Have a nice rest of the week.